the last time I talked to you, you were just about to go back to DC. Um, I think this was not your first trip to DC,
No,
in an effort to secure the um, congressional gold medal. Is that right?
that is correct. Uh, the background on this is that it actually started, Major General Brady introduced this with John Cornyn in the Senate, I think in the 114th Congress. And it hasn't gone anywhere. Our association, our president, Steve Vermillion, and Chris Sagar got a hold of it and in the 116th Congress and started working on it. And again, it's very, very hard to get things passed through Congress. And it was this gold medal was supposed to be for our action, our heroic action in Vietnam as far as saving lives. And what has happened is that we finally, Chris was able to get a hold of the Hutton Law Group, which is a lobbying group, a law firm, the worldwide, that has done this kind of work for many, many years. And they have done pro bono work for like the Merrill's Marauders. And so they were able to attain a gold medal for them. Well, they got a hold of us. They liked what we had proposed, and they have helped us immensely in the last few years. And especially last year and this year, things have been going pretty well. I was back, there's a bunch of us from our Vietnam Dustoff Association, which is an association that is comprised of nothing but Vietnam Dustoff crew members. These are pilots, medics, crew chiefs. And so we had about 10 of us, and the law firm provided people to help us, each one of us. We called them our Sherpas. And we were hitting all the offices the best way we could. And you can send letter after letter after letter to the congressman, but much of it doesn't get through. Most letters are held back. They don't even get to the congressman's office or senator's office for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe. So, and even then, it has to go through a whole chain of staff before he would even see it or be aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we felt that the best way to do it is the way real lobbyists do it, and that is to go knock on doors and to meet the right people and the right staff. And so with our work and the law firm work, the last 2 or 3 years, we've been able to, first of all, get the Senate to pass their bill, which was Senate 2825. And now we're working on the House. And the House bill is HR 1015. And we right now, as of today, we have over 231 congressmen who have signed on. Now, in order to get a gold medal, it takes 2/3 of each house has to pass it. The Senate has passed, but it takes, now we are looking for another 50 or more congressmen to sign on to get the 290 that you need to even get this to the floor for a vote. So it's been quite a challenge. It's cost us a lot of money, and with pro bono, we couldn't have done it without the law firm at all. I mean, it would be almost impossible. And they only allow, I understand, maybe 4 gold medals a year. We're number 2 on the list right now, and we're hoping by the end of this session, before August, we can get it to the floor and get a vote on it. But this is what people don't understand why we have it, why we're even going for it. But in 11 years, we flew Dustoff. That was created by Charles Kelly, who was one of the majors that got this idea across to the higher up echelon in the Army. that this would be a very effective way to save lives, and as to go right into the combat zone and pick up that combat wounded and getting him to a aid facility, an aid station or hospital within the golden hour. And we did that. And what we didn't realize that during that time, we evacuated over 900,000 casualties. We did over 450,000, almost 500,000 missions. These numbers have never been done before and never will be done again. And as a result, every life we saved came home and had a family. And they've had a family and they've had a family. They're all my age now, the surviving soldiers. And they're probably great grandfathers or great great grandfathers by now. And so we had a big impact on the way we saved lives. And we saved everybody. I mean, we picked up everybody. And we picked up scout dogs. We picked up Filipino soldiers, Korean soldiers, Thai soldiers, South Korean, I mean, Thai soldiers, Aussies in New England, New England, New Zealand soldiers, our guys, the Arvins, the popular forces, the local folks, the local people. They were hit with a bomb or a thing, we'd go and pick up everybody. We just flew day and night. We never, it was, we were like uncontrolled. You know, we could, once we heard the klaxon, we were on that aircraft, we were coming to pick you up. And even if you expired during that time, we'd pick you up and bring you home. So the whole thing is that our mission was to go and save lives, and that's what we did. Now, today's regulations are totally different you know, your, what do you call it? Your action now has to be approved by several levels before you even take off. But in our day, all we needed to know is that you were in trouble, that you had an injury, and we were coming to come and get you. And what we really gave the soldier was was hope. He heard on the radio his RTO say, "Hey, Dustoff's on its way." That gave him that extra hope. And that, you know, if you were dying out there or feel like you were dying, all of a sudden you knew somebody was coming to pick you up. And we came. You know, it just gives you that extra desire to live. And that's one of the things that I think that we're very proud of. We're very humble about it. We don't think we're heroes by any means because we were just doing our job. A lot of people don't realize we were 18, 19. I was kind of old. I was 20 plus. You know, I was an old guy. And if you were 24, you were just an old man. Nobody, hey, dad, come over and help. But the thing is, it just, the uniqueness of our group, because we were unarmed. And, but you had pilots. You had two pilots, you had a crew chief and a medic, which I was a medic. And we worked together as a team. The pilot would get us there. We'd help the pilot get us there by watching his backside and looking when he was doing a very, you know, like a hoist, and I'll explain a hoist in a minute. But as soon as we got somebody inside, I'd start working on him. I'd let the pilot or the aircraft commander know how serious it was if we had to really get this guy to an aid station now, or if we had any time at all, we could do another pickup with another injury. And if he wasn't too bad and we had him stabilized, we could go and pick up somebody else on the way to the hospital type of thing, or aid station, and which we did that several times. And it just, we never thought about it. Our job was to just to do our job. And we never thought about how important it was until we got back home and we started looking at the statistics and everything. We knew it was kind of dangerous because we all had to volunteer to do this kind of work. Nobody forced you to get to do this work. You had to volunteer to do it. and because they knew how dangerous it might be. And we lost a third of our crews because we were unarmed, and it was due to all sorts of action from combat, being shot down. There's some guys had the unlucky ability to get shot down more than once, maybe several times. I don't know if I was lucky. My moniker was Lucky Logan because I never did get shot down, and somehow I evaded all that kind of action. And it was in hot LZs too, but never got shot down. So I don't know if somebody up there must have liked me or what, but I was lucky. And there's other incidences that I was saved that could have gone either way within seconds. So it just you never think you know, as you know, with a lot of us who came home, we were shunned, and nobody really wanted to talk about it, and we were shut down. So uh, this is all coming many years after us looking back and seeing what we did accomplish.
Mhm.
And one thing about it, our training was nominal compared to what they do today. Uh, my flight training was there's a helicopter, there's a med bag in there, fill it up, and we're flying tomorrow. You know, that was my training. Nobody set out and showed me how to do whatever. Fortunately, I was in country for 5.5, 6 months before I started flying, so I had a pretty good idea of how to handle different wounds and things like that. So, but
So
I
you had
mean,
been you had been a medic for 5 or 6
I had
months.
been a medic. I was
Okay.
over there initially with artillery.
Yeah, and then you
And
volunteered.
because we never know where we were going initially, but for Dustoff, you had to volunteer for that.
Mm.
And I decided I needed to do more, and I volunteered for Dustoff, and I'm glad I did. I enjoyed my time as a medic with the artillery unit as well. It was good, great guys there. But this had to do. I had to do more, and
Now,
and I did.
Michael, you mentioned that Dustoff crews operated for 11 years in Vietnam.
Right.
Do you have any sense of how many people were members of Dustoff crews during that period? How many people volunteered for that duty?
Well, during that whole 11-year period, about 3,400 people were involved in Dustoff. That's 1,400 pilots, and the rest were crew chief and medics. Just 3,400. Now, remember, during that 11-year period, over 2.5 million guys went through Vietnam. So 3,400 guys took care of 2.5 million, plus the Arvins, plus all the other forces that were there, plus the locals, plus everything. So we backed up the entire country during that time. So you're looking at millions of people we were actually open to pick up and it's to save. So yeah, and we lost over a third. Right now, I don't know there's figures between 800 to 1,000 left right now out of that 3,400. We lost a third over there. So you're looking maybe by 2030, only a few of us might be here. So in another 4 or 5, 6 years, depending on how many, we lose guys every year.
Sure.
We lose, we just lost a very good medic here earlier this year. We're losing them all the time.
Mm.
And as our ages, you know, in our 70s, there's not going to be many of us left by 250. We'll all be gone probably for sure. 240 even
Yeah.
2040. No, only
Well,
3,400. So it was a very unique group of guys that dedicated themselves. Now we weren't assigned to any unit. We were under the medical corps as Dustoff. Now there's another term you'll hear is medevac, and medevac was assigned to the first cav, and I think the 101st. The first cav commander wanted all of his aircraft to have guns. And those particular medevac had 60s on them. The problem with that is that it took the weight load out, away from the aircraft. In a sense, they could only pick up a few injured compared to us. We could pick up almost 11 GIs, and we could pick up several South Vietnamese that were injured. And it just opened up the door to us to do more of a job on a big action out there than they could. They also didn't pick up only their first cav infantry, as far as I understand. They only picked up their guys, basically, during that time. They might have picked up others, but most of them, I think they just evacuated their own first cav casualties and stuff. Whereas we picked up everybody and anything, anytime, anywhere. It really set the stage for what they call MedCap and helping the locals. And what do we see today? You see our Huey helicopters out there making fire and rescue. Our particular unit, the 45th Med Company, has a helicopter that was refurbished from our unit that is flying for Kern County. It's in Keene, California. The number on the back is a 407. And that was one of our Dustoff helicopters that is flying today to do fire and rescue.
Amazing.
And we really started this to help the fire departments and the first responders and things like that to get this going as far as the evacuation effort that's happening today. When I see these guys do hoists out there for some guy who decided to do 1.5 gainer off a cliff, I think about our hoists too. Our hoists were a lot different. They were a lot more dangerous in the sense that we did a lot of night hoists. Night hoist was the most difficult to do because you had your lights on. You're about 100, 150 feet or 100 feet off the floor,
You're
and
just a big
you're
fat sitting duck there with
yeah,
with
you
a
were
light
sitting
on
down.
saying, "Look at me."
Yeah. Well, the crew I replaced was doing a night hoist, and they got blown away by an RPG. We or whatever it was, and that's who I replaced when I went to the 45th to replace. That's why that it was posted. They were looking for a new medic, and I was surprised. I put my name in, and next day I was flying down to Longview because I was up
Yeah.
north. I was stationed up north for the
So,
artillery.
yeah, I want to get more into your personal experience, but before we do, I just have a couple more questions about this, about these numbers and the Congressional Gold Medal effort. So, you said there were 3,400 over the course of 11 years. You lost a third of them over there. So, around, say, 1,100
Yeah.
Dustoff crew members, you would say, are on the wall. Um,
Well, they were either injured or they were killed.
I
I'm
see.
not sure exactly how many were killed, but they were
Gotcha.
injured in the fact that they couldn't fly anymore.
I got you. So when you
We
say we
actually,
lost them, you don't mean necessarily that they were killed. You mean you just they couldn't
they
perform.
couldn't fly
Yeah.
anymore. Right.
Yeah.
They were either
So
injured or killed.
now one of the things I find a little bit hard to wrap my head around is, if Congress is going to give a gold medal to an individual, that makes sense, right? That's a discrete, that's a specific person. If Congress is going to give a medal to a unit, I can understand that because, it's very vertical. It's very, again, a very discrete group of people. What does it look like for Congress, and has it been done before for Congress to have a gold medal? So, I guess for lack of a better term, horizontally, right? It's anybody who performed this job. Like, how does that work?
Well,
Is it a harder argument to
no,
make?
well, we were a unique, we were under the medical corps. So we were a attachment. We had, we had companies and we had outside detachments, but we all did the same thing.
Mm,
We
okay,
just did it in different, if you put us all together, you could bring us all together. And what we did was assigned, you cover this area, you cover that area, you
I
cover
see.
that.
I see.
We're going to give you different little commanders for each area. So we all did the same thing.
Gotcha.
We just had different units, and we did like at the 45th, we did a lot what we call single ship standbys, and we did these for the Australians, and we did it for the Ninth Division at Tanan. We would send the ship out for a week, and that would cover a certain area of
Mm.
Dustoff area uh, for whatever. And then you'd come back and you'd send another ship out for that week. We'd cover that whole area all the time with at least one ship, but we all did the same thing. I mean, it doesn't matter what terrain you were in, you were picking up wounded, you were doing hoists, you were doing all these kind of things. You were transferring patients if you had to. You sometimes we'd bring a nurse to a hospital while we were on our way out to a standby or whatever. But we all did the same thing. We just had different units.
Okay.
And that's what makes it. So when we say dust off, we all use dust off as our moniker. And we just have maybe different names of our ships or whatever, because each crew chief had his own ship and he'd get to name his own ship, like Iron Butterfly, Hover Lover, Wild Child, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, things like that. They all had their own way of naming their aircraft, and because that crew chief, that he was a very people don't realize everybody had a very important role. The crew chief kept that thing flying. It was his baby. It was like you, it's like the guy keeping the car running when you need the car. I was a medic, so I did the actual medical help, but my crew chief helped me as well.
Hmm.
And I'd help him clean up the aircraft. I'd help him do some maintenance if he'd let me. And because they were pretty particular about who put the wire in the nut and tightened it and everything else had to be just right. Well, they didn't trust me. So
Mm.
he did it. So, and then we have the pilots. I mean, we had pilots, you had your new guys, the newbies, and you had your experienced aircraft commanders. And we were always changing pilots. I flew with several groups of pilots, but I was normally assigned a aircraft. Not until the end of my tour did we start changing medics and medics with crew chiefs, different ships. But I flew with Dan Hilton for most of the time I was there, and it was an excellent. All the crew chiefs I flew with were fantastic. They knew their ship. They kept their ship tight. When we got back after a standby, the first thing we did was clean that ship tooth and nail, and I'd go fill my med bag and we'd, take care of stuff before we even got a shower. So, I mean, we really, we worked together. It was a crew that worked together. And today we get together. Rank has no meaning with us because everybody did their thing and they did it well. I had 18, 19-year-old pilots. And I tell you what, to hold an aircraft for 20 minutes in the air and a hover in a bunch of trees and everything and to load up patients at the same time took a lot of energy and a lot of skill. And these kids had it. They really did. And we were fearless. We didn't, we did, we just didn't think about it. We just did our job and it was amazing. I don't know if it could be done today, to be honest with you. I don't think the government would let us do what we did.
At
We
that
broke
age.
all we broke all sorts of rules to get the job done, and we got the job done.
Hmm.
Yeah, they'd all be aghast if they knew what we, did, but too bad. We did it because we're going to save your life. We're going to save your life. And that was our main effort, and we went out of our ways to do that. And in those days, we only used one ship, usually, unless we had a big. You knew it was bad when all three or four ships went up that night. I mean, we one night we had about 105, 120 guys we had to pick up. So we had all the ships up in the air and off the company going to pick up guys. But I mean, you just flew, you just did it, and you didn't even think about it. I think the longest I flew was 36 hours straight. And we couldn't stop. I mean, we just had one thing after another. And by the time we landed, unloaded, we'd get another hot mission. I mean, it was just a continuum that night, or that 2 days, really. It was really, really bad. But we did it. I mean, I don't know. And it is, remember, we all did the same thing.
Yeah.
We just had different terrains. Up north, you had a little more mountainous area. Down south, it's all rice paddy and plantations. But we all did the same thing. We all had the same kind of problems, overall. So that's how you look at it. Is it's a group of guys. We also are including medevac into that gold medal.
Hmm.
So even though they had 60s, they did their job and they
Yeah.
did it well as well. So they're included with this.
Sure.
So, but see the whole thing, our dedication, how come it's easy. Our main job was to go evacuate wounded and serious casualties. I mean, that was our entire job. We were an air ambulance, and that was our job, was to do it. So it's easy to group us into that type of thing. You know what I mean? We're not really separate. We were a group. We are a family, basically.
Yeah.
It's just, and what happened, some guys got transferred to 3 or 4 different units. He
Hmm.
might have started out with the 57th, but they may have sent him over to the 283rd, or he'll come back to the 159th. And then as things got moved around and as we started downgrading or um, bringing troops home during the 70s, he might have been in 3 or 4 different units doing the same thing. I mean, it's just, one of those things.
Sure.
I
Michael,
was getting, go
when
ahead.
you're, excuse me, when
Go
you're,
ahead.
uh, 18 or 19 or 20 years old and you're flying day and night and you're, as you said, you, at one point you were on for 36 hours straight
Yeah.
and you're so focused on saving the lives of the people you pick up. Do you ever zoom out and look at the progress of the war? Or are you just so in it, forest for the trees kind of thing? What's your, do you remember what your perspective was during that time?
Well, you mean as far as the war, how it was going?
Yeah, yeah. Does that even
Well,
enter your mind, or are you
oh
just too
yeah,
busy with your eye on the
no,
ball?
no, we knew just from the action, um, the whole thing. Most of us all realized that we could have ended this war probably sooner. Um, just with the action that we had, it was played. Uh, we would um, take valuable strategic locations, lose guys doing it. Uh, I give you an example like J.J. Carroll up north, which was a Marine base. They lost, I think, 1,100 or 1,500 guys taking this base to get it in our hands. And it was a strategic location because we could hit the A Shaw Valley with the guns. We could hit the DMZ. We could hit all within 30-mile radius. We could really nail certain areas and protect our troops. And we gave it back eventually. We would take certain areas and we'd give them back. And we never had a front. The problem with Vietnam, a lot of people understand you don't have a front. You have enemy all around all the time. And you never knew the kid selling you Pepsi for 75 cents or 50 cents or whatever he's trying to get for it. Could be the VC at night shooting at you and that type of thing. So you never really had a front. You did in certain areas to a degree, but it was never really defined like most wars are. The line here, they're on that side, we're on this side type of thing. But we knew that we had the ability to stop things. We had B-52 bombs. We had the big guns off the ships on the coast. We had the armament to absolutely destroy all the supply routes they could make coming in through Laos and through Cambodia, and they knew it. I mean, you hear fighter pilots talk about how they could have, they had a whole load of bombs. They could have just eliminated a whole convoy of supplies coming across, but they were told to stand down and fly home. So we really it was a political war that we saw as veterans and as soldiers that we could have very easily won that war physically. You know what I mean? And I think that's what bothered us too, is that it was, if you've seen the movie, what was it, the Truth and Myths about Vietnam, it was done by a group out of Atlanta. It's about a 47-minute film, The Truth and Myths about Vietnam. It's on YouTube. Very good film, and it really shows how we got into the war, how the war was played, and we could have saved a lot of lives had we really, if they would have listened to the commanders on the ground and followed their instructions for winning a war, we could have won it very easily. That's the way we all feel, and
Sure.
it's proven out more than once you really look at the data. Our
Yeah.
main job, though, being focused, was at that point, we're not making the commands. We're really not into the discussion of how to win this war or how to do this war. We're just doing our job. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, and
nobody
my
came
question
to ask.
wasn't so much
No,
about whether you
no,
had a point of view on
no.
strategy. I was just wondering whether you were following, like, how things are going.
Well, let's say we suspected this. We didn't have any facts for ourselves, but we really suspected we could have done a better job.
Sure.
And
Let
we didn't know until we got home and really looked at it, and then read The Best and the Brightest by David Havestrom, and some of the other good books out there that really went into the how it was ran by the White House. But I mean, at that time, you're just doing your job. You have no idea uh, what, and the whole fallacy of the way we came home and everything else, how we were portrayed, uh, and how people treated us when we got home was so. It was such a shocker. I mean, we were just absolutely floored the way we were treated when we got home, and being blamed for the war and being blamed for whatever. Just, that shut us up for quite a few years. But
Yeah.
I, 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 this is not a medal for us to wear. This is a medal. All we are looking for is a recognition and an kind of an acceptance that we did right and we did good, and just the recognition that we did save lives. And it was the most. I'm very happy we did. The biggest thrill right today is meeting somebody we actually picked up. And I tell you that just warms our hearts so much. I can't tell you how good that makes us feel, because we had no idea what was happening to these guys once we dropped them off. We knew they were alive, but we had no idea what happened to them after they went to the hospital in Tokyo or Germany or Honolulu or wherever they went, and then finally home again. And I
Yeah.
tell you, it makes us well. We've been honored by a few groups. One group was an artillery unit that was overran, and they lost over half their battery that night from the NBA or whoever was attacking their artillery fire base. And it's really great. And we just that we get off on that. I tell you, it's wonderful. And knowing that
What's an example of an encounter like that that you've had? Because a lot of guys, and not everybody's as active and as exposed to the veteran community as you are. So you must have had this happen to you countless times. Is there one or two that really made a mark, really stand out in your
well,
memory?
you mean as far as meeting guys that we
Yeah,
had picked up?
yeah,
I haven't met anybody directly myself, but I have met people that were picked up by us.
Mm.
And one of them is Joe. I hope he doesn't mind, but Joe Stark out of Dover, Delaware. He's the president of the VV 850 there chapter, and he was picked up by in 1970. He was picked up by one of our Dustoff outfits crews, and he was shot. He was seriously wounded, and they saved him and got him to an aid station or hospital. I forget the whole story, but he's been so thankful and so grateful to us, and they have honored us in Delaware with a beautiful memorial for us in their Kent County Memorial for Veterans Memorial. And I tell you, it's just we've met, we've hugged, we've cried. You know, it's kind of like amen. You know, it just anytime you save a life like that and know that he's been successful in life and that he's had to have kids and grandkids and great grandkids, it does us so much better. I mean, I can't describe it. We had I don't know who it was, but there's a pilot. We were at the wall a couple years ago, and one of our pilots was looking up at names, and some guy from an honor flight tapped him on the back. They turned around, he was dusted off. They started talking about who he was with when he got picked up, who it was, blah, blah, blah. They went back and forth. Finally, they realized he was the pilot that picked him up. He was the actual pilot that picked him up. And I tell you, I've never seen two grown men cry, but I mean, it really does that's what it's all about, is saving life and having
It
that
well, it
life
is.
be
I mean,
successful.
but it's more than that, Michael. I mean, from where I sit, right? Like, and what do I know? I'm just a guy, but it is, you know, yes, you saved my life, but there's an added layer of you risked yours to do it. Right? So it's the level of gratitude is a little different than, if I have a heart attack at my desk and the EMTs come to my house and save my life, I'm going to be extremely grateful. If I meet a guy at
Yes,
the
you are.
wall who 50 years ago hovered his helicopter, and took enemy
Mhm.
fire trying to get me out of a situation, that's a different level of gratitude, I think.
Well, it's a bonding, it's a brotherhood, it's a bonding that you cannot express or fathom unless you have it. You know, I guess it's just something so deep that what one good thing about our all of our guys, no matter where they flew or whatever, we're a brotherhood. We automatically connect. You know what I mean? It's just, and then when we all meet somebody like that, like you said, it just we all relate to this guy immediately. You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, I know what you're saying.
But like the
It
guy at the
it
wall,
is. It's
right? The guy at
very.
the wall
It
who fell
is.
apart when he met the pilot
Oh
who had picked
God.
him up, right?
Well,
It wasn't just pilot, you saved my life. It was pilot, you could have died doing that.
and we're both here. You know, we're both
Right.
here. We're both alive. We're to God's grace. We're here, and it
And you're
just makes
facing
you.
58,000 who didn't make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that had to be an incredible moment.
Yeah.
That's what we talk
And
about. We talk about wall magic. Things like that happen at the wall almost every day. It's
It
amazing.
it is a wonderful wall. It really is. Whoever conceived it did it. It just it's very ominous and it's very humiliating and not humiliating, but
Humbling. Hmm.
humbling to go to that to go to that wall. It it really hits you hard.
Yeah.
And all you can think of is dust up. Can I been there a little earlier? If we had it there, you know,
Right.
sometimes you just can't, you know, they were shot immediately and killed immediately. So there's nothing you can do about it. But, and the thing is, they've learned a lot from us. One of the things they have learned in saving lives is that today, every soldier carries a med pack on it. And in that med bag or med pack or whatever they want to call it, there's a tourniquet. We had to kind of make up our own tourniquets. I'm sure the guys in the ground did too, to a degree. And had everybody had a tourniquet like they do today, we would have been able to save 2,500 to 5,000 more lives because they probably bled out. And they probably didn't have enough to go around if you had multiple injuries or multiple casualties there. So they learned a lot from us, what we needed to have to save even more lives. So,
Mm.
I mean, they've learned a lot from us and how to do it. We did a great job though. Our
Yeah, you guys kind of
success
invented
rate,
that job, right? I
if
mean,
you
there was
were
nothing like it I mean, there was maybe in Korea there was a little bit of it, but you guys really made for lack of a better word, a profession of it.
right, well, Korea had it, but they didn't go into combat zone with those little helicopters. What they were more of a transport for those who couldn't handle a rough ride in an ambulance, a
Mm.
rough road or whatever.
Hmm.
They would put those on those little T-28s or whatever they call them. You know, you saw them in MASH,
Hmm.
the movie MASH or helicopter. They used those to transport them because it was easier to fly them, so they didn't go over a rough road.
Yeah, and in
That's
Korea, you
those.
also had a front, right? So if you weren't at the front, you
Yeah,
weren't taking fire,
you definitely had a front.
right?
Yeah, a little bit different. And we were active a lot more days per actual combat, and our ground troops were,
Hmm.
and us too, compared to what they were in other wars. There's all I can say is it was fabulous. I mean, not fabulous, but I'm so proud that I was able to save whoever I did. And I'm sure all the medics are too, and the crew chiefs helped. Uh, the pilots had medical training as well, so we all had some medical training when we got on board those things, and it's been wonderful, you know, getting together every year like we have been, and it actually has been very enjoyable to meet our congressmen and our senators and you know, if I've met them personally, it's been really a wonderful experience for me actually to go to Congress. And I think everybody should go visit and have a tour. It really is kind of a real what do you call it? A learning experience on
Mm.
how government really works.
Or
And
doesn't.
or
I'm
doesn't.
sorry, did I say that out loud?
Well, I would say you're probably right. It's very hard. You remember, you got 535 opinions.
Uh-oh. Oh, come on, man.
Uh, and you have a lot of lobbyists. So we
Mm,
did see
mm.
a lot of lobbyists around. So you can understand how the whole action works to get things done.
Yeah.
Um, and
Michael,
go
can
ahead, sir.
I ask you some questions about, we've talked a lot about the job and we haven't talked very much about you. And in the time we have left, I wonder if we could get a little more specific on your experience. And I guess to start, I'm curious about how you ended up in the military. Did you have a military family? Had your father, grandfather, uncles served, or were you drafted? Tell me how you,
I,
at the age of 20, how'd you get there?
well, my father was in World War II. He was a Marine. He did the Pacific beachheads. Um, my brother was a Marine. He was over in Vietnam in '65, and I was actually drafted. I was working as a biotechnician for Shell Development, which is a research arm of Shell Oil. It was a biological research center, and I was drafted out of that. And so when I came home, I had a job. Within 2 weeks, when I rode, I got my job back. In those days, if you got drafted out of a job, the job had to rehire you when you got back the obligation was at least 1 year. I mean, if you didn't work out, of course, they could let you go within 1 year,
Hmm.
but they had to at least keep you on for 1 year. And I was on there for many years after. So um, I was doing the exploratory research when I got back, biological research. And
But you got drafted.
right. And like I said, when I decided to volunteer, and I explained that to you about why I decided to volunteer.
Well,
It's
you
because,
explained why you left, being a medic in an artillery unit, why you volunteered to go dust off.
yeah,
But I want to be clear, you were drafted into the army.
right. I was drafted,
Okay.
and I
Did
didn't
your
mind that.
dad and your brother give you any hard time about that? I mean,
Well, yeah, they told me if I become a Marine, they'd kick my butt.
oh, really?
Yes, my brother especially.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm surprised to hear that.
Well, you got to know my brother. That's all.
No, I just really
I mean,
I would have thought they'd give you a
my
hard
brother,
time for not
my
being a
brother
Marine.
had been in the Marines. He had an attitude. Our whole family has an attitude. He attitude, I have a tude, and
Mm,
his attitude. No, I could have gone to the Marines no matter what, because
right.
in those days when you're drafted, when you go to the induction center, they could go down and say, well, this guy's going to Marines and this guy's going to Marines. This will stay in the Army. You know, they could put you wherever they wanted.
Mm,
And we had a couple of guys that got sent to the Marines from my induction center. So
okay.
I could have easily gone to the Marines. I didn't care. I was going to go into service, do my best.
Now,
And
what year was it that you were drafted?
I was in 68 to 1970.
Wow. So does that mean you were drafted in 67?
No, I was drafted in
You're
68.
drafted in 68.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was early
I thought,
68.
sorry. So when you said 68 to 70, you were talking about your time in the army, not your time in Vietnam.
No, my time in Vietnam was 68 to 70.
I'm so confused.
Okay, what happens is you get drafted. Okay,
So this is
early on,
1968. You're how old?
I'm 20 years old.
Working for
20,
Shell.
almost, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I get drafted. I get 10 weeks of basic training. I have 20 days of leave. Then no, I take that back. I had no days of leave. I had maybe a couple, 3 days of leave, and then I went to AIT at Fort Sam. I had 10 weeks at Fort Ord, then I had about 10 weeks at Fort Sam. Then I had 20 days, and then I went to Vietnam. It was boom, 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 nom.
Okay. And
So I had 20, only
you're
20
trained as
weeks.
a medic at AIT, right? I mean, that's where you get
That's where I got that Fort Sam, right?
and was that a choice?
Yes.
Okay.
That was my first choice is go get medical training.
Okay.
And when I was at Fort Sam, I tried to go to get flight training. I put in for flight training. And the trouble is that before my orders could come through, we had already been assigned to go to Vietnam, our class. Once your orders were cut, there was no change. And I was waiting. It was this seventh week, I think, in AIT that I got my orders to Vietnam. And once once they're cut, you were gone.
But I mean, if you're drafted in 1968 and you got medical training, I mean, where else are they going to send you?
Actually, the class before us went to Germany.
Wow.
Actually, two classes before us went to Germany.
Yeah.
And we're all getting excited. Oh boy, we're going to go to Germany. Yeah, okay. Wrong.
Wow. Okay. So what month and year? I guess so. Is it 1968 still when you arrive in Vietnam?
Yeah, it was no, early 1st of November. I hit Vietnam, and I was assigned to artillery, and then 1st of May, I was sent to, before May, I volunteered and they sent me to flight to uh, Dustoff.
Okay.
And then I came home into January
You skipped a few things there.
70. Yeah. It was all war, basically. Never really had any stateside duty at all. Thank God I didn't. I really, war does different things to you. First of all, um, you don't look at command as, you have a job to do basically, and in a combat zone, you get a little attitude, you know. And if I would have come home, I would have had a terrible attitude from the higher ups and stuff.
I'll bet.
You
Can
know, after
you,
you have the combat experience, you just, I don't know, something about it.
yeah. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about combat experience, and I know it, it may be difficult or uncomfortable. I'll give you a couple of kind of leading questions, and you can take them wherever you want, or you can just say no, thank you, and that'll be fine too. But I'm wondering, just given the nature of your job, there must have been days when the odds were really, really against you and somehow miraculously you were successful. And there must have been days when everything seemed like it was working for you and you still didn't win. Like are there days like that that you can remember where you just thought, I can't believe we saved that guy or those guys. That really shouldn't have worked out the way it did.
Well, yeah, I'm not, I, I don't want to go there.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry. Just not.
And then the converse also, days where, it seemed like it should have been easy and it still wasn't.
Well, it's just that one time I was telling you that it's not a combat narrative, but it was just you get up in the morning, I just really get up. It's a nice day, it's beautiful outside and everything going well. And then you get the first call, you get that we got 4 wounded and maybe a couple KIAs with it. And you get there, and by the time you get there, they're all KIA. And as soon as you land, you have a hot LZ. You got to get going, but you can't leave the KIAs there. They didn't have any body bags, so we had to put them in the hellhole, and we had to send them. These are American GIs, kids, and we hooked them up. And this kid's looking at me. He's dead. He's gone, and I'm looking at him like, had I been there a little earlier, we get there, we might have been able to save him. And it just haunted me for years. We went on and did our other pickups. I worked on them, but all the time I was working on them, he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him like, here we just lost a beautiful young kid, blonde-haired kid that's probably 18, 19 years old, and he's gone. And it's haunted me for years that we couldn't help him. And those kind of things, uh, uh, they hit you too, where you really, when you pick up somebody that is really super injured, and that's happened more than once, where you're really working your best, hoping that we can save his leg, that we can save these arms, we can save him. By the time we get him there, maybe we hope like hell the surgeons can do something. You always, you're always looking for that patient to be successfully alive and well and not losing any arms, but sometimes they're gone. So you have to really work with the guy to keep him happy and keep his spirits up and promise him maybe, that everything's going to be fine. Just stay in there. you got to build that hope into your patient and that kind of thing. So he keeps that effort to stay alive. That's the kind of things that we did basically. I mean, a lot of the guys, got shot up and got injured themselves. We have one fellow that got shot up 6 or 7 times. He's still alive today. It's amazing how many surgeries he's had to go through. I was lucky. I didn't have any injury that way, so I've been very fortunate. And but I don't know. It's just that you always had to keep a positive attitude when you're picking these guys up, even if they were in a very, very, a pretty serious condition, basically.
Yeah.
And as long as you kept them alive, got them breathing, got the bleeding stopped, whatever, got the IVs in them, whatever we needed to do, that's what I remember, and that's all. I mean,
Yeah. That's okay. The more I think about what it must have been like, I mean, I talked to a lot of veterans, and I talked to a lot of guys who've dealt with, some form or other of post-traumatic stress. And I mean, it's almost like your crews knew nothing but. You guys didn't know anything but trauma, right? I
well,
mean, you
that's
took fire every day. You dealt with death every day, every
yes,
day.
every day. Yeah, you do. It was you just had to get tough about it, I guess. You had to just continually think like I say, positive about we're going to save this guy. We got to save this guy, and that's all you focused on basically.
But
And
when you came home, that stuff it must have,
well, yeah,
not for
we
you
did,
personally,
we buried it. We had to bury it, and
because nobody
people
wanted to
made
hear
us
it.
people here made us bury it. We could not release ourselves,
Mm.
and some of the action we did wasn't very good. A lot of us probably drank. Some of us, who knows what. Uh, our relationships weren't very good with people in the way until later on in life, until we started getting help, till we realized that we really had a problem. Uh, I go to a vet center every week now. We have about 20, 25 of us are all Vietnam veterans from all walks, every kind of job you can think of in every service is represented there. And what we do is that we really study PTSD. We realize what our actions have been in the past. We're trying our best to keep control of some of those things. Our anger was easy to get out of us real quick. Our awareness has always been very, very aware of what our surroundings are. We had PTSD and we still do, but we've learned our best is learning how to control it and how to use it as a successfully try to use some of the things that we have rather than letting it overrun us with other problems. I mean, we were probably considered AHs when we got home, and the first word is ass. So I won't, you know what I mean, when we got
Mm.
home, because people didn't understand us. They really couldn't understand us. They didn't want to understand us either. I think what had happened was that the country had gone in such an anti-war, anti-whatever, that they had got it on TV every day, every day, every day. They reached a catharsis and they didn't want to handle it anymore. And they kind of blamed us as we were coming home for what they were watching on TV. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you're the fault of all this or whatever. The blame was on the soldier, basically.
Mhm.
and which was unfortunate. But all of us really had to put it aside and just what we did was we used our skills that we had learned in the service to just control our life the best we could. Most of us were fairly successful. Many of the pilots became airline pilots. I was, biotechnician. A lot of them, some of them, medics became nurses. Others became police officers. Some became lawyers. We had all sorts of walks of life that came out of that war. Most of us were successful in that sense, but we still had that in us, you know, and that made it tough for a lot of our relationships.
Mm.
Some of us were lucky to have one wife. Many of us had more than one. Myself, I've had more than one, and wasn't happy. It was not a good thing for us, and we've had to learn a lot to overcome this. And now we can, and we can see the kids that coming from Afghanistan and Iraq are having some of the same problems we did. In fact, we invite in our group, we invite Iraqi soldiers and men or women to can come and listen to us, and they have the same problems. They have the same problems at just a different scenario. War does that to you, no matter where you're at. Anytime somebody's trying to kill you, and you have to kill somebody, it's definitely going to affect your mind and your body and your persona, everything. And it's going to affect it and you can't get rid of it. I mean, you got memories. Everybody's got memories of what they did. And we really don't want to, we just want to control those kind of actions and to try to use them positively if we can in our lives. I don't know.
One of the things I find so remarkable about your generation is the compassion, right, that you have for younger combat veterans, right? People who were in Iraq or Afghanistan. You guys didn't
Absolutely.
receive that compassion from the
No.
veterans older than you.
No. Well, they're very fortunate. One of the things the service learned is not to send us over as individuals and not to bring us home as individuals.
Mm,
Today's is your National Guard unit or your Army unit go over as units, and they come home as units. They also, I've been in the Texas airport, well, Fort Worth, Dallas airport, more than once. I've been traveling through, and I've seen our guys, Vietnam vets, and the whole family there welcoming home these units coming home off the whole plane. Several of them coming off in their camouflage fatigues and stuff, and they're welcoming them and they're hugging them and kissing them and everything. Uh, we kind of wanted that, but we didn't quite get that.
right.
When I was at Travis Air Base, they told me, I tell you what to do. If you want to go home in a uniform, you can, but be aware of such and such. We're looking at them, what? We would recommend that you'll go home in your civvies or your civilian clothes.
Hmm.
Really? We were aghast. We were aghast. We couldn't, what? What's going on here?
Yeah.
And, you were in war, and then 24 hours later, you're home. There's no downtime. There's no time to reflect or have somebody talk to you about what you just did.
Yeah.
You're
It's a
just
very,
there. And
very
then you're in the
abrupt
middle of,
transition.
and people didn't want to talk about it. They looked at you like you were some anomaly that shouldn't be in the same room. And, but I think our military training helped us to just get through that and to move on as best we could. But we had it inside, and we definitely held it back for many years. What really helped me a lot, and I recommend all the servicemen that I see, is getting back to your unit. So when we started our association 20 years ago, that was fabulous. I resisted and resisted, and finally one of the medics kept calling me, and I finally answered the phone, and he invited me to the reunion, and I came, and it was like a door opening. I saw my pilots. I saw my compadres, my buds, my brothers who had done all
What
the.
year was this?
I was 203, 203 or four. I can't remember,
So
2004.
30 plus years after you came home.
Yeah, after. And it just, wow. It is, I can't tell you how it's helped me. It's been fantastic, especially when I meet a guy I flew with and we remember what we did, pilots that I flew with, crew chiefs that I flew with. Uh, it was, it was fantastic. And, it really unleashed a lot of stuff that we've had, and it's helped everybody that's ever come to our union, I hope. And we welcome all of our units, all of our brothers to come. And because we all did the same thing, and we hear stories about their hoists, about their crash landing, their whatever, and like Ted or Doug and his TED talk is fabulous. And
Hmm.
you know, it just this is the kind of thing we it has helped us tremendously. It's like opening a door and getting this crap out, basically. But at the time, thank God,
Yeah,
I got somebody to talk to. We immediately connect. We can talk about anything, anytime, anywhere. The thing we don't talk about is politics.
sure.
That's verboten because
Right.
I don't give a hoot who you like, love, and whatever, and that end of the stick.
Right.
Is that we're humans, we're human beings, and we're so happy to be alive and to be together again. So
Yeah.
that's the way I look at it. That's the way I've always looked at it. And I think we are. And I know anytime in combat you have people don't know it until they've been in it. You know what I mean? You have to be in it to really understand it. And when you see your buddy blown away or you're shot up or those zingers are good. Those it's not a movie. It's not a movie. It's real. And people get blown up and people really die. It's a whole different thing. It's not something that you can erase and start all over again. It's a permanent scenario. I don't know. When I see all the violence today, I get pretty upset because we go to war to have peace. Basically, we go to war to solve a problem, and then everything's supposed to be lovey-dovey, but unfortunately, it's not. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
So
Anyway,
one last question.
sure.
Do you know anything about this is kind of a silly one, but do you know anything about the origin of the term dust off? Where'd it
Boy,
come from?
there's two different stories. The best one, well, I'll give you the one I like, but I mean the one that I think it's official. The higher echelons had to figure out a call sign for us, and somehow Dustoff came up, and they gave it to us. The one I like is that it's after the first medical evacuation. This helicopter flies off, it's blowing dust all over, and some guy yells, "Well, there goes dust off," and that stuck. But actually, I believe it was given uh, by uh, by somebody upstairs to the medical corps to use for this type of evacuation.
So it was a
And
call
it's
sign?
it's a call sign. In other words,
Okay.
every pilot, every aircraft commander, not every pilot. Well, I guess they did. I guess everybody was assigned a number,
Yeah.
but like you'd be dust off 40. Now that number would be passed on.
Sure.
Somebody else, somebody come taking your place may pick up your call sign as well. You might be
Got
dust
it.
off 40 in 1965, and you might have another guy dust off 40 in 70.
Yeah.
So every pilot got a number.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, I didn't
It's
realize it
like,
was an official call sign. I thought it was just a nickname. I thought it was just
oh
something.
no, it was a call sign. That's
Okay.
dust off was once they call. That's how they got it. They called for dust off, and they
Mm,
knew immediately what dust off. They immediately relayed to a dust off unit
mm.
and had it come their way. All of them were dust off. It was doesn't matter what unit you were. All the pilots had a dust off number to them.
Okay.
I think I had a number two, but I don't think they used it unless it was, we were down or something.
Okay.
Uh,
So
I think,
last thing then is, and you know, we do have a few minutes, at least I do. I have a few more minutes that I can stay on. I just wonder, is there anything that we didn't talk about today that you think is important to include?
uh, I don't know. No, I think I, I, oh, I don't know.
Is there anything, for
All I
example, that
can think is we did
you
our
want?
best.
Sorry, this lag is,
Go ahead.
I
No, no,
apologize for the
go
lag,
ahead.
but I was just
No, no,
wondering,
go
for
ahead.
example, you said some, you gave some really clear perspective on what you thought of the crew chiefs and what it was like and their responsibility. Is there anything more you'd like to say about the pilots? I mean, these are
Well,
18, 19-year-old
yeah,
kids.
yeah. The pilots were fantastic too. The ACs were great. The aircraft commander. Now you got AC after you flew for at least 6 months, and then you do a trial test flight and go through all sorts of safety scenarios uh, by another AC before you could be qualified as an AC. The AC normally sat in the left seat, and the new pilot sat in the right seat, and the new pilot had all the controls. So the pilot was actually looking at the controls. Now the AC is glancing over at him, but the pilot has him right there in front of him, and he's learning what controls, what to do. What I was amazed, I was absolutely amazed with the pilots was the ability to get us to anywhere to do a pickup because they didn't have GPS. They didn't have any of the stuff that we have today at all. They would have to figure out, like they would write the coordinates on the with a wax pencil and a plexiglass bubble. Then they'd have to figure out, the direction they're going, and then like Steve was telling me, they would fly so many minutes in one direction, then they'd turn and fly so many minutes in the next direction and hope they were in that. This is at night. Now
Mm,
at night, night is night. Night was black. I
mm,
mean, remember, they didn't have lights like we have today in our society. This is Vietnam. You had lights in Saigon, you had lights in maybe the cities, but out in the country, the most you had was maybe some fires going here and there. But it was pure black. And so we would have to ask them to hit a strobe or a flashlight or anything we could find them at night. But we got there. And the thing is that even on a hot LZ, we would ask gunships to come and protect us. But if we were on station at the site, we couldn't wait. And that was 50 to 90% of the time we'd have to go in anyway. We couldn't be hovering around there. We had to get in there and get that wounded out of there. So we did that all the time. I think we had one of the best, but these kids, I can't tell you how hard it is to do a hoist, especially at night. And then when you have to step down in the trees, you're going like this, going down with your helicopter, with us hanging out the side, telling you left, right, foot here, 6 inches there, whatever. And then holding that as you're pulling somebody up because your weight load goes this way, wants to pull the aircraft over, especially when you're pulling somebody up. I'd have to stand out on the skid and hold on so we could balance the load to bring him up lots of times. And so it just, the kids, these are 19, 18, 19, 20-year-old pilots that just showed amazing skill. And the other thing they showed was we just did the job. They were fearless and they were very good. Uh, they learned how to go into a hot LZ. They learned some tactics, how to fly into other terrains. I mean, you really had to learn how to fly. Like some of the pilots said that when they get a new guy in, they ask him, would you read this? Yeah, I read that. I know this. All these books, he's learned all this good stuff back in the States. He says, that's fine. He takes all the books, throws it in a garbage can. He says, now I'm going to show you how to fly in Vietnam. And they did. I mean, you had to know when you approached. See, today's they've got what what is it? Infrared cameras. They got all sorts of. They can see the ground troops. They can
Mm,
see where they're at.
mhm.
We had to learn how to come in. We'd ask where they thought the enemy was. We'd have to come in certain areas, and we'd have to come down fast. You couldn't putt. You just couldn't putt in at all. Uh, you came down. They did what they call a spiral, where they'd come right down. They'd be on the ground in 10 seconds.
Tense.
Sort of like what a master jumper does when he spirals down. You do the same thing with your helicopter, get on the ground. You're on the ground, you're only there only a few minutes. The trouble with hoists, you might be up there for 20, 30 minutes. See, that's the problem with the hoist. Whereas a ground thing, you could get down, hold, load up, get out of there. But the pilots were just fantastic. And I tell you what, uh, we like I said, we worked as a team. And as soon as I got on telling them what we had, I mean, they sometimes would they'd max out that aircraft, getting it back to an aid station or whatever. If I really felt that they needed to put the pedal to the metal, and they would, they'd crank that baby up.
I just don't
We'd
know if
fly
I've
low.
seen in my experience, I don't know if I've seen an 18 or 19-year-old kid who'd be capable of that. I know I wasn't at that age. Like, I just
Well,
can't even imagine.
isn't it hard? It is. It just we don't even think about it, but it is. These kids were
Kids.
they kids. We were kids, but boy, we were grown men when we came home. That's for sure.
Mm,
A lot of them became pilots. A lot of them stayed in the service and flew helicopters for a long time. Several of them were very well awarded afterwards, and did a very good job. We had some became generals. Some of the pilots became a general.
mm.
Steve is a lieutenant colonel. Tom Barfoot's a lieutenant colonel. Um, I mean, a lot of them stayed in and did a very good job in the service.
Well, Steve's
And
around here somewhere, isn't he? He's got a 253 area code. Is
well,
he in
he does,
Tacoma?
but he lives in Kansas now. He used to live in
That's
Puyallup.
right. That's right. He told me that.
But we do have we Tom Hall is up there in by Monroe. What's that lake? What's the name?
Stevens.
Lake Stevens area. And we've got
Mhm.
several in Washington that live up there
Mm.
uh, that are coming to the reunion. In fact,
And when's your
so
reunion?
it'll be in September, and
Okay.
it'll
And
be at San Antonio.
okay. Man,
I don't know if you'd like to come or not, would you?
God, I would love to, but yeah, I don't know. I'll talk to my boss about it. I mean, this episode will have probably already come out by then. So,
That's fine.
um,
But you'll meet all of us. That
it'd be
we're a bunch of
amazing.
we're great guys. We
It'd be
really are.
amazing. And San Antonio is such a great town.
Yeah, we're going to actually to Fort Sam.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to go to Fort Sam. We're going to see the actual training they do today compared to what we did back 50 years ago, and
Mm,
how they've improved it all. It's quite a deal.
okay.
And we're getting yeah, it's really a great it'll be a good time. We have private tours of the Alamo. We're going to have there's a place there called the Grunt Museum, and 13 of our guys are going to get quilts of valor.
Mm.
They're going to present to them, and yeah, it's a brotherhood. I mean, we're 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 humble. We don't look at ourselves as heroes, and this war, this medal is really for the action we did.
Yeah.
The action. It's
Well, you've
really,
got
it's
such a
not,
strong case, right? The numbers that you're talking about, 3,400 people evacuating almost a million.
yes. And this is everybody. uh, Aussies, and they
Mhm.
were a fun group to work with. You want to hang with the Aussies if you can, because they like their bitters and they like their darts, and they're just a fun bunch of guys. They
Yeah,
really are.
I'll
Very
bet.
nationalistic. They're every town is. I went to Sydney for my R&R, and it was, oh God, it was a blast. It really was.
Mm. Well,
Yeah.
I'd
If
love
you
to
ever
hear
get
those
to go to
stories.
Australia,
So
you
actually,
love them.
I know I said that was my last question, but just very briefly, you said you were there from 68 to 70.
Yeah.
So you did 2 tours.
Not really. I just did one long one. I extended.
I
I
see.
extended for 2.5 months. I extended to get out early.
Okay, because you got there in
See, in
November,
those
so that's
days,
what
in
put
other
you.
words,
Yeah.
if I would have come home early, I would have had to do stateside duty.
Mm,
But they told you if you extend, you can ETS or get out, the rows out uh, as soon as you get home.
I
And I
see.
decided to do that because I didn't want to do stateside duty. I didn't want to, I just felt that I would be in trouble
Yeah.
because either my action or my mouth would have got me into trouble.
Well, I can imagine, right? I mean, you're in that situation where you have to improvise and you have to use judgment and you have to solve problems that, there's no playbook for. And then you get stateside and it's just regulation, 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 and half of it doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense.
it's a lot of pettiness. It's sort of like, painting the rocks or picking up the cigar butts or whatever. I
Right.
didn't want to put up with it. And I didn't want some second Louis coming up to me and saying I didn't salute him correctly or forgot to salute him. And I'd tell him where to salute it, probably, or show him the hard way.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. I think it's good that you spared all the.
I spared these second lieutenants and first. I would have done that, told them that. Yeah, I don't give a damn what his rank was. Sorry.
Right.
As a medic, I in Vietnam in combat, you don't have to salute anybody. If you're in working, you don't have to come to attention. You don't have to do anything. You you are in command of that scenario.
Yeah.
I don't mean general come in. I'm working. I'm not going to stand up and salute at some when I'm working on somebody.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So
And you
that's
said
the
among
way.
the crews, rank wasn't really a thing anyway.
Well, you have one or two guys that have to be called so and so. This is the same with life today. Some people have to be called doctor, or they freak out. Um, uh, it's the same way there. You always have a few that maybe think they're hot stuff, but the real guys, the real people that really did the work and worked together as a team, that's how they looked at us. We were a group of guys that worked together. And that's how we look at each other at our reunions. I don't
Mm,
care if you're a pilot, I don't care if you're a medic or crew chief. We all had our job to do and we all did it well. And that's what I'm proud of. And they are too. So
well, it sounds like
I
a
hope
perfect note to end on.
all right. Well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate the time and I hope I hope I helped somebody. I don't know.
You were great. Thank you, Michael.